Welcome to the Sellernomics podcast, where we share valuable tips and information in the Amazon and e-commerce space. Each week, we deliver the best interviews with some of the top Amazon personalities in the industry to help you grow your business. Today's episode is brought to you by Getida, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at Getida.com/Sellernomics. And now, here are your hosts, Rob Stanley and Lisa Kinski.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of Sellernomics. My name is Lisa Kinski, and I'm joined by my co-host, Rob Stanley. And today we have with us another familiar face in the industry. We've got Jon Tilley on with us today from ZonGuru, and we're going to be talking about organic growth hacks for profitable Amazon selling. So let's just jump straight into it and bring Jon on board. Jon, how are you?
Yo, what's happening, guys? Good to see you.
What's going on, Jon?
Good to see you as well, dear.
You know, it's different seeing you guys here versus all the events and the craziness that happen at those events. But good to see you guys here.
I know. Yeah. So often it's like seeing somebody in real life you've only ever seen on Zoom, and it's like, oh, you're so much taller than I expected. Or, oh, when we see people virtually, I always see in person, it also feels weird. Like it's crazy lives that we live. But Jon, let's get straight into it. So talking about organic growth on Amazon, what are some of the first steps that new sellers can take to begin to increase their organic sales on the platform? Because I feel like everybody's talking about the paid side of things. Not a lot of people really talk about organic growth.
Oh, the challenge of organic profitable growth on Amazon. It's such a high level, it's such an important topic, especially in these days, you know, the pay to play and the squeeze that Amazon's putting on all of us. But yeah, look, you know, focusing on new sellers and organic sales, you know, you have to clearly have a great product, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that, but you have to have a great product. You have to use the Vine program. You know, you have to get your review count up. And you know, I would say the other piece is you do need budgets on the paid side, especially when you're launching. And then you do need some patience, right? I think those are critical factors. But I want to talk about, you know, the role of paid sales, right? And you know, paid sales is a critical piece, and you're getting sales from that. But it is important to understand that while you are being proficient with paid sales, that is one massive lever that you can use to drive your organic rank. And you know, even a new seller, or obviously as an established seller, understanding the keywords that are indexed by Amazon, but not necessarily in your buyer zone yet, and understanding what those are and how you can use paid sales to focus on those keywords and drive them into you know, with better conversion rate into the buyer zone for organic, is a critical you know, understanding that you have to have, and a systematic way of approaching that to get your organic rank up and to get sales from that. So yeah, I think we're going to talk a lot more about that in the next ones. But you know, as a new seller, you have to get all your main levers right, which is pricing, obviously your listing, your content, and a systematic approach on your paid sales side.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jon, let's jump into some of those organic ways you were just talking about. Like, as an example, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I mean, everybody's going to have like a description, and they're going to have an image and everything, but optimizing those, like what kind of increase can they see in organic traffic if they really optimize that correctly, doing listing optimization?
Yeah, you know, one of our specialties is clearly you know, SEO and listing optimization, and writing a listing in the right way for the algorithm, right? And you know, everyone's going to have an opinion on that right now. There's a lot of changes that are happening or expected to happen on how the Amazon algorithm works and ranks content. We're talking about, you know, BART, Cosmo, semantic side of keywords. So there's a lot of changes happening in the space. But at a high level, if you can really focus on writing a listing that you have a good understanding of what are the the most relevant keywords that customers are using to search for your product, and you can specifically write a listing where you broad match for as many of those terms as you can, specifically with your title, and then obviously going into your bullets, and then back in search terms first. That is a way that works really well with the algorithm, and when you get sales from that, you get a lot more organic juice, right? And so when I say broad match, you'll be amazed at with the amount of characters you have in a title, how many terms you can actually broad match for that are relevant for your brand, right? Without overstuffing the listing. And that I think is one of the best ways of creating a baseline around your listing, is a professionally written listing that broad matches, for your most relevant terms. And we track that, that kind of impact on across our customer base. And if they're following the way that, our AI and our algorithm works to write listings, and they use it, we're seeing on average about a 28% increase in revenue on existing listings. So we factor out new listings, because obviously that will skew the data, but on existing listings that have then reworked it around how we have trained, the writing of a baseline of a listing, the results are significant. And it's because you can just look at like all of the relevant terms that you have that you should be indexing for, but more importantly, broad matching for in the title and beyond. And that makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
wow,
absolutely. You know what? Just kind of follow up on that. Let's talk a little bit. You mentioned Vine, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about, reviews. First of all, give everybody just kind of, if they're new, to understand what the Vine program is with Amazon and how that can help them with getting more reviews when they're either getting started or even if they've already launched.
Yeah, you can. It's an Amazon program where they would get people to review a product, and I'm forgetting the very detailed specifics, but I think you can get five. Is it five or so?
I think it's 5.
Yeah.
Let's go with
5 or so per ASIN. So you can split out variations to get more reviews, and then bring it back together under a parent listing. So there's ways that you can get multiple reviews, but it gets you a start, which is important, right? And getting the traction with initial reviews.
Yeah. So if anybody didn't understand what Jon just said there, so if you're selling one item, let's say in multiple colors, you can list on Vine each one as an independent listing as its own color. And then you've got, let's say, 5 reviews for each one of those. So if you have 5 different colors at 5, that's 25 reviews. You could bring that all back in together. Now you all of a sudden have 25 reviews available under that listing. Now, of course, it's still available in, the 5 different colors and everything, but it's a way to kind of quickly and through Amazon, but just to make this clear, this is through Amazon, this Vine program. So it's something that, I don't think a lot of people take advantage of. And I think it's something that should definitely looked at some more. So
yeah, hands down. I mean, any service, the one note I make is any service that Amazon has, you should use as a seller, because, they obviously have their internal metrics about ensuring that sellers use their program, because they've got their own, objectives they need to hit and goals. So if you use that, naturally you're going to be seen in a better light with Amazon and benefits totally. So any new service that comes out, anything they have, you got to use it.
Yeah, take advantage of everything that's available to you, for sure. So Jon, what about the products themselves? How does the product the seller chooses to sell impact their long-term growth and success on the platform, on the marketplace?
I mean, that's 90% of the challenge, right? Or the solution, I would say. And it's funny how still today, and we've been around the space for so long, but it keeps going back to the product that you sell on Amazon and how much effort you've put into your branding, your differentiation, and more importantly, your customer research. And I still speak to sellers all day, every day, who neglect that part of their journey. They obviously do research around what product they get, and they typically do a decent job on branding or imagery, but going deeper on that and understanding your avatar, understanding what really drives your customer, understanding what they love or hate about the competition, and really trying to figure out how to connect with them at an emotional level and a differentiation level is often overlooked. And you'll know as well as I know that if you have a great product and you get onto Amazon's going to give you a shot, and if you get better conversion rates, 90% of your problems are solved, and everything is scaling, right? But if you have not a great product, or there's a few things wrong, or you haven't quite figured it out, everything you're doing is not going to maximize the potential, right? And you're going to lose money, etc. Yeah, you can fix it, but product at the end of the day is 95% of the solution to everything. Yeah,
that's true. But what about one of the things you did mention was pricing, but there's got to be kind of a balance between pricing and your profitability for the growth, right? So how do you kind of guys handle that? Because like I've seen it where people come in, they go real low on the pricing to try to get those reviews, get the rankings, and really boost that product, but they're giving up a lot of profitability on that. Is that a strategy that works, or what kind of strategy you see when it comes to like balancing pricing versus profitability?
Yeah, look, the way we look at profitability is around this idea of the index keywords that you're indexing for and where they're positioned, right? And obviously, if you're in position 1 to 25, you have great, you're maximizing your profitability. Outside of that, you want to look at ways to move those keywords into the buy zone, right? And the levers that you have are certainly within Amazon are PPC, right, which is a great lever. SEO and how you SEO your listing, and then pricing is the third one. Now, and it's kind of third because there's a lot of value you can get out of the SEO and the PPC piece to move the keywords into the right position where you can benefit from organic sales. Pricing is kind of the third one that we look at, and we do use it, but it's kind of on a as needed basis, right? And typically it is over a shorter period where we can clearly drop the price. And that will most likely help with conversion rates and therefore improve your organic rank. And then once you're into the right organic rank, then it's about upping your price again, but then using the other levers to stay in that position. So we don't use it as much to try and improve the organic rank without focusing on those first two that I talked about. We do a pretty cool analysis, and this will help kind of bring the piece of pricing and reviews together. But we do this pretty cool analysis where we look at where are you priced versus your top 25, 30 competitors. Like, how are you priced? And at that pricing tier, how competitive are your competitors, right? And so when I say how competitive are your competitors, we're talking about what is the quality score of their listing, how many reviews, and how strong is their rating, at that pricing tier. Because Amazon's algorithm is going to look at you and say, hey, if you're priced at $50, right? How many other competitors are priced at $50 at in your relevant product niche? And if they have a better quality score and a better rating, the algorithm is going to favor them over you, right? So understanding from a pricing perspective, what is the tier that you're in and how strong is your competition is a really good insight to get. And in addition to that, how many customers are actually buying? What's the TAM of customers buying at that price point? And it's pretty cool when you look at this pricing analysis, because I'll give you an example. Like, let's say a customer is selling at $50, they have 1,000 reviews and their rating is 4.4, right? And that's at $50. And there's a bunch of competitors, at that price point that are at 4.5 and have an average median of 1,500 reviews, right? And there's, let's say the TAM on that price point is 100,000. So 100,000 a month of customers are buying on that keyword at that price point. But at a more expensive price point, the actual average rating is 4.3. The reviews are lower, and the TAM is 200,000. That's a pretty cool insight for a seller to know, where he can actually improve or bump his price up and actually compete at that pricing tier in a better way and get more sales. And typically the conversion rate will stay. So, those are really important insights that we give around not just, what's your profitability on on that product and your cogs and everything else, but what is the actual price point that you're competing at, and do you win the algorithm at that price point, and how many customers are buying at that price point? And that's a really critical insight to know. We've had customers that have upped their price point, done better, had a better conversion rate just because of that insight. And the other part of it, they've also maybe seen some TAM at some lower price points, and they've come up with a product variation to compete at that TAM as well. So it's an interesting way of looking at it between pricing, ratings, and how competitive you are at that pricing tier.
Wow, that is a lot to digest. We're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsor. But when we come back, I want to speak more about analytics and then finally get into what the topic of the episode is, right? Which are growth hacks for organic ranks. So we'll be back in just a moment.
Hey Amazon sellers, be the next Amazon success story with Getida's FBA reimbursement service. We're offering Sellernomics listeners a $400 offer to get started. So make sure to visit Getida.com/Sellernomics and let us help you maximize your Amazon profits today.
All right, y'all, be sure to head over to Getida.com/Sellernomics for that first 400 in FBA reimbursements free. We are back with Jon Tilley with Zon Guru. Clearly, there's a lot of decisions that can be made about a business using analytics. And you just explained for us some of the capabilities of the Zon Guru tool, which we will get into closer to the end of the episode. And you guys can also check out our episode with Jon on Show Us What You've Got, where he gives us a deep dive of the dashboard. But let's talk about Amazon's analytics that are available to sellers. What are some of the key data points they need to be looking at to help drive that organic growth, or see maybe where they can make improvements to either their product, their listing, their strategy to grow the business?
Yeah, I think from an Amazon perspective, and specifically around organic, the three key metrics you need to understand that will be helpful to you is what is your overall PPC conversion rates, what's your organic conversion rate, and what's the category average conversion rate, right? And you can get access to all of that inside of Seller Central and obviously in Zon Guru. But understanding, like, on your set of keywords or an ad campaign, what is your conversion rate? And let's say your conversion rate is on your ads is 10%. But your average organic conversion rate for your products is 14%, right? And then the average category conversion rate is 15%. You've got a problem, because number one, your organic conversion rate is lower than the average, right? Which you need to fix because the algorithm is not going to favor you. And then number two, your ad conversion rate for the sales that are coming from that ad campaign is at 10%. So while you're getting sales, and you might be getting a lot of sales, they're not actually great sales for your business, because you're dropping your conversion rate, right? Because it's 10% that you're getting on those ads. So you need to figure out how can you improve that ad campaign's conversion rate to be better than at least your organic conversion rate. So it starts to help your organic conversion rate and improve. So that's one of the first ways that we identify and look at a client's business is what is their overall conversion rates across organic, paid, and the average category conversion rates, and then figure out amongst that how do we help them get into a position where their conversion rates are better than the average, and certainly the ads are better than the organic, so that everything that they are doing is layering on the ability to improve their organic rank.
Yeah, nice. And Jon, what about, if a seller just got started and they got their listing up, and you may have already kind of mentioned this, but I want to rephrase it a little bit. What is kind of the first thing you see that sellers can change to get that organic growth, that they kind of maybe struggle with, a lot of new sellers struggle with? What is kind of that first point that, hey, if you make changes here, this will give you at least the best chance for organic growth with your product?
For new sellers, I would say your main image is critical, right? And I think there's the latest I would say on main images is to a degree you can change. It's the idea of packaging may vary, right? So understanding that as your main image, if you have packaging in there, great. But what goes onto that packaging, what messages on that, and how you could smartly differentiate that from the view that everyone sees, that has a massive impact on your business because of obviously click-through rates, and starting to get the clicks, right? And that's one of the biggest needle movers for new brands. If you can work out ways to differentiate that, and we see it all the time. And when we consult with brands, established brands, we always see opportunity around that main image. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of not seeing the forest from the trees, right? Which all brand owners have, and getting an outside perspective, is really helpful. So I would say that's a big needle mover. And then I would say, we talked about listing optimization. Obviously, it's critical to have that baseline, but understanding your most, what are the relevant keywords that are getting conversions, and importantly, what is the experience that a customer has when he comes from those relevant keywords onto your landing page, right? And how is that positioned in your listing? How is that positioned in your images 2 to 7, as kind of benefit overlays, or in your EBC content? But often we see some really great keywords, but the customer experience when they get there, they're not seeing that value immediately. And by repositioning those keywords and creating more visibility around that, you're starting to get better conversion rate, which ultimately will improve your organic rank. So I would definitely say, outside of content on listing, your imagery, your experience is critical.
Yeah, there's some great tools out there. So how many times, John, have you seen you go into somebody's listing and they have like 3 images and they're not utilizing all the images, right? So I'm going to suggest real quickly, take a look at some of the episodes we've done, Product Pinion, PickFu, ecomtent.ai. I mean, these are all helpful resources that can help you with that whole image strategy and do some A/B testing on that. And I'm sure, John, you guys probably either suggest those or use those tools also to help your customers you're dealing with. So, but those are great.
Yeah, we have that, and we have it in a scoring system to kind of give you a sense of your images. And obviously AI is a talk of the town always on imagery side, and it's definitely not there yet. But what we've suggested and has been great for some clients is to use AI as a brainstorm around your main image in terms of position, how to place it, how to angle it, just getting that kind of insight from running it through AI and getting some inspiration for how you should create that main image is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's sort of like using ChatGPT as a brainstorm. Don't let it write the whole article for you, but if you have a little bit of writer's block, use it as a tool. That's what it is. So we've kind of talked about some strategies and tactics. I want to kind of put a bow on it, right? Package it together of maybe your top 3 hacks for organic growth on Amazon. And we'll say today in April 2024, because we know things are changing all the time. So what would be your top 3 hacks for organic growth?
Well, number one, I would say understand your subsets of keywords that are sitting outside of your buyer zone. And what I mean by that is the low-hanging fruits are positioned 26 to 50, right? So your index keywords that are in position 26 to 50 in rank, right? What are those keywords, and what are the most relevant ones for you as a business that you want to go after? I think that's, not many people really look at that in close proximity, because understand that in position 26 to 50, the algorithm is indexing you and saying, hey, you're a great product, but you're not quite in that buyer zone of page 1, right? 1 to 25, or, whatever the number is. But if you can identify what those are, and then start to think about what levers you can use to get them into the buyer zone, that 1 to 25 position, you'll have a massive organic growth. So, that I would say is one fundamental, tactic, I would say, or hack that you should focus on. Number 2, I would say the understanding of how you are priced and what is the strength of your competitors at that pricing tier is important, because if you're just not competing, as much as you do, Amazon's algorithm is not going to favor you, because there are better, in their mind, there's better quality brands out there that you should be going after. So understanding your competitiveness at the price point that you're selling at and the TAM, the amount of customers buying at that price point is really important. And then I would say number 3, and this is just a manual hack, and maybe it's been discussed on like with Product Pinion or other ones, but it's this idea of forest from the trees, right? As a brand owner, you don't truly, you might not see some things because you're so close to your brand. And what I always recommend as a manual process is for brands to go out there and get 3 people who are their target audience, to give them an exercise of going on and buying a product on Amazon that is similar to yours, and recording that session and speaking loud around what questions they are asking themselves that is around the buyer decision process. And you will find, if you do just 3 of those, you will literally find something in there that your listing doesn't have, that your competitors don't have, that if you add will improve your conversion rate, because it's answering the question that the customers are trying to answer. I've referred to this previously, but we did this for an exercise with someone who had a pull-up mounting for the wall, and there was a dimension between screws that none of the competitors had in there that was elevated and became visible in that walkthrough of the buying process. They added that to there, and their ROI and their sales, literally went 3x in the space of a couple of weeks, because that was something that the customers were looking for, that literally everyone on page 1 was not addressing. So getting that outside perspective on the buyer process and getting people to give you feedback on that. If there's something that you pick up there, you're going to improve your conversion rates. And what happens when you improve your conversion rate? Your organic sales and your organic rank goes up, right? So that would be my 3rd.
I love it. Yeah,
Awesome.
that header image, or that first image, is so powerful. And I like what you said about the manual search things. I mean, Rob knows this, the listeners know this. I'm not the biggest fan of like AI and the predictive tech and things like that. I think if you want to know how people think, you have to ask people, like human people, who's going to be buying your product, So I like the idea of that, or even getting people in a room and doing a good old fashioned think tank,
AI is a tool. It's a tool to help. I mean, I did a thing. My wife was starting to do influencer stuff, and I literally came up with some names and domain names just to give you an idea of AI. And I had AI actually, I said, act as a professional, blah, 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 and rank these in order. And then I went over to PickFu and I ran an actual poll, and AI wasn't even close on what was 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It was kind of crazy. So, but it can be used a lot for other things. Sorry, John, go ahead. I just wanted to make a comment on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just speaking about customers and AI is to a level is rising all boats, right? If you want content in a listing, you can use our tool for sure. There's obviously others out there, but everyone can write content in a listing, but and speed up that process by giving you that fast baseline. But if you can then put your efforts as a brand owner or a team or an agency or whatever into understanding your target audience better from an emotional perspective, a brand perspective, an expert perspective, or what really connects with them on the emotional level, and then bring that into your content, that's where you win, right? So I would say the effect of AI in the industry all over is it should be pushing us as humans to understand the human connection better, the emotional side better, and then bring that into our content. If you can do that, that's where you're going to win. So that's a positive side of AI, is it's forcing us to be more emotionally, intellectually connected with our customers, right? Or it should, at the end of the day.
Yeah. It should. Awesome. Jon, is there anything about growth, organic growth on Amazon that we haven't talked about today yet that you want to be sure the audience understands before we jump into learning about ZonGuru?
Yeah, I think the I would say there's a positive light on the organic side of it. I think right now, as you speak in 2024, there's a lot of negative connotation around Amazon is squeezing our profits. It's pay to play. There's a big focus on the paid side of it. There's fees. So that's the part that is challenging that we need to figure out. But I think the positive side of that is that organic, there are ways to improve your organic, and Amazon needs the organic side. They can't get rid of that, right? And they're always going to lean on the organic side, because that's ultimately about how do you get the best products in front of customers, and they have to hold on to that, right? So there's going to be changes in our space over this year for sure, but with change comes opportunity. And if you can understand what your customers are using to search for your products, and you have a really good understanding of that, you know how to add that to your listing, and you can improve your listing, and then you can use the levers within Amazon to drive that organic rank with the lens of like, hey, I can use PPC, I can use pricing, I can use all of these things to drive organic rank, and you're consistent in that strategy, you've got a really good shot of gaining great organic rank over time. So all the levers are there within Amazon, but it's not about just being proficient with that lever. It's about how to use that lever to drive your organic rank. And if you can switch that in your head, you have a really good chance of growing on Amazon.
Awesome.
Nice.
So it's very clear that you know what you're talking about, Jon. We don't have guests on here who don't, but you're definitely among the most knowledgeable that we have on the show. So tell us about Zon Guru, who you work with, where y'all operate out of, your pricing model. That way, if anybody is interested in working with you guys, they know a little bit more about you before we give the information of where they can reach out.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. We've been around for quite some time, going back to 2017 when we launched. We're essentially an operational tool set for brand owners and agencies, and to how to help them scale on Amazon, organic being a big focus. So we have about 18 different tools, everything from, finding product opportunities, validating market potential, market share, all the way through to our flagship tools, which are around SEO on Amazon, keyword intelligence. Our flagship tool there is called Keywords on Fire. It does a very good job of finding, keywords that actually customers are typing into Amazon in that local marketplace. Listing optimization, which we were the first to integrate AI, I think over a year and a half now. I think it was January of last year. So, we've got a lot of, knowledge and expertise and domain knowledge around the algorithm and how to write listings that match the algorithm, and how to do that fast, right? Our goal is to give you an AI written listing as a baseline in under a minute and a half, right? And I'll use the word baseline because typically it's better optimized than the best listings on page one, but that's the baseline that you should use to bring the creative domain expert knowledge that I talked about to your listings, right? And you have the opportunity to do that inside of our tool, and you can also compare your listings to any competitor listing and make sure you are better optimized than them. So, that's a lot of our strengths. And then we have financial tools as well. In terms of our audiences who use our product, we have, the SaaS, subscription tech for private label sellers globally. So whether you're selling on Amazon or you haven't started selling on Amazon, you certainly can use our tools, and you can go to our website and sign up. And it starts at around, I think, $35 a month, and then it scales depending on the size of your Amazon business. And then we have tech for agencies. So we have a slightly different architectural structure for agencies, which is our fastest growing segment. So we've focused on agencies for the last 2 years as kind of a flagship focus for our product. And if we can solve it at agencies, it trickle-down effect as we solve it for brands as well. But a lot of agencies use our tool just because we're very good at focusing on the relevant data that moves the needle for businesses, and how to do that in the most efficient way, which at the end of the day is what agencies need to do. So we have a lot of agencies that use our product as well. And then we do have to a degree for some larger brands, we do have a very strategic partnership around consulting and a done for you around the SEO piece and that organic rank. And that starts with the growth audit that we have access to for very specific brands out there.
Awesome. And you had mentioned the website before. We'll go on ahead and drop that URL here. ZonGuru, ZonGuru.com. Y'all can find Jon on LinkedIn, if you want to connect with him there. Jon, last name Tilley, Tilley, or you can email him directly at jon@zonguru.com. Jon, just Jon, no H. Jon, thank you so much for being here today with us and sharing all of this great information. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. I always love connecting with you, and it's nice to be on these where I'm speaking to individuals who have a lot of knowledge in the space, and you clearly have that as well. So I enjoyed it, and yeah, if there's brands out there or agencies and you want to connect, just to literally talk for a few minutes, you can connect with me there. We can run a growth audit for you. We can show you your true potential on Amazon and what it should be around that growth, that organic growth. We can certainly look at that for you as well, and just help you scale in these new dynamic, challenging times of Amazon and beyond.
Yeah. Thank you
absolutely.
so much, Jon. And
make sure to head over to YouTube and check out the demo we're going to do with Jon, and you can see a little demo of Zon Guru. Check out the YouTube channel.
Yes, definitely. And if you're already on YouTube, we will link it in this episode. And thank you so much for everybody who is watching and listening to this. If you liked what you saw today, please be sure to give us the thumbs up, share your thoughts with us in the comments, subscribe to the show, and we will see you all on the next one.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sellernomics podcast. Special thanks to our sponsor, Getida. Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at Getida.com/Sellernomics. Be sure to join us again next week for more great tips on how to grow your business. And thanks again for listening.